sending incoherent messages when he woke up really early at 4:30 a.m. this morning. He will be leading a panel discussion for Zoroastrians in business. His name is Fazard Sunavala. So Fazard himself is a successful senior product manager at Microsoft. He plays an instrumental role in product design and execution of AI capabilities on the Azure cloud platform. And he is passionate about empowering individuals in order to revolutionize the way that we all interact with technology. As an active member of the ZAH and ZTFE, please welcome Fazard.
Test. Oh. All right. Howdy, everybody. All right, so it really sucks always going after Sir Ron Khalifa, but I'm going to try my best. And honestly, I was sitting in the back just listening to him, and I've heard him speak several times. But after that ice-breaking activity yesterday on who's the most inspiring person, I think I'm gonna have to replace my mom with him. That was a hell of a speech. Let's give him one more round of applause. Please don't tell my mom that. All right, so I think this next panel makes a really good segue into everything that Sir Ron Khalifa just talked about. And I want to introduce some rock star panelists that have went on the business journey themselves, the entrepreneurship journey, have failed, have crashed, have recovered, have went through all the stepping stones of success, influenced Zoroastrian behaviors into their career, into their decision making, and overall it's really, really inspiring. And we have a set of questions today that I think we premeditated and really just wanted to cater to kind of all levels of audience, whether you're a university student entering university, whether you're an early career professional, whether you're a late career professional, and whether it's you want to become an entrepreneur, whether you're not sure, whether you're on the fence, whether you just want to sit back, enjoy a full-time corporate job like myself. But with that being said, I just want to go ahead and introduce our rockstar panelists, Shernaz engineer and Ruzbeh Bacha. All right, so I guess let's just start off just doing a brief introduction of both of you. I know that you have bios online on the website, but why don't you kind of tell us your zero to hero story, how your career kind of started and kind of where you are today. Shernaz, can we start with you?
Okay, ladies first. Well, I came to England at a young age. I did my O-levels here, and I wanted to be a doctor, but London was exciting, it was fabulous, it was 70s, everyone was having a wild time, and I flunked my A-levels. So my father said either go back to Pakistan or stay here. In those days, you could just stay. So I stayed, and I walked into an employment agency, and I said, I need a job. And they said, oh, you'll be good in accounts, but they didn't know I'd failed my O-level maths. But that's brilliant. And so for a while, I just added up timesheets and things. Just like Sir Ron, he stuffed envelopes. I added up timesheets for temporaries. Anyway, after that, I said, oh, can I be an interviewer? And they said yes, and this is how I started in recruitment, interviewing secretaries. And I worked for one firm, which you now call a high street firm. And I found that they never made me an area supervisor, and I was really good. I became a branch manager. This is very quick, really, but I became a branch manager, and I was number 1, South Moulton Street, really flunky branch because it's in Mayfair. And they wouldn't make me an area manager, and I thought, why? And I asked my area supervisor, and she said, your face doesn't fit, Shernaz. They think you're colored, and you couldn't possibly be an area supervisor. And I thought, I'll show them. So I left, and I joined another small agency, and I took every single temporary staff and every single company, and that was my revenge. And I promise you, and that's the way to pay them back. I could have taken them to court, but what's the point of that? They would have paid a fine and gone on. But this way, it really hit them because South Moulton Street closed down within a year. So, so that was it. And then I stayed with that company for 11 years. I became a director. But it was owned by a couple, and I saw that they made decisions in bed and came back to work and told me what it was, and I didn't like that. So I left in the recession, which everyone said wasn't a good time to start, but I did. And I knew my clients would come with me, because if you give a good service, your clients like you. And remember, I'm a saleswoman. I sell myself. I'm sure I'm selling myself to you now. And I knew they would come to me. And people buy from people they like. And so I did start my own business with the clients I had, and the rest is history. I don't know if you want me to tell you about how I started, no?
All good. We'll get onto some questions later to talk about that. Ruzbeh.
Hi. It's interesting to be on this side. Usually I'm on the other side. And I can see some of you who I've been with at congresses. So aren't you guys old now? Shouldn't be. Yeah, I'm just joking. Hi, I'm Ruzbeh. I'm originally from Bombay. As a Parsi Zoroastrian, I had a few paths that I could choose from. So I decided being a chartered accountant. I actually wanted to, like Sir Ron Khalif, I actually wanted to be a professional table tennis player. But then I realized that you get only, I don't know, a little bit of money and, free socks and free clothes from the Tatas. So that didn't work out. Wanted to do technology. It was very new, so that didn't work out either. I ended up working at KPMG. And I'm sorry, I hated that job. I really hated it. So I moved out of India. I worked a little bit in Sweden. I worked in London after that. And then, the transition, so I've done finance and accounting. It was really boring. So I decided to move to technology. So I worked for this company that once had $60 billion in their balance sheet and suddenly was nowhere, Nokia. I don't know if you guys know that. So I know a little bit about failure. I started learning early on. Then I moved to Skype, and then we got acquired by Microsoft. So I spent some time in Microsoft. Amazing paymaster, especially in the UK, but really boring job. So again, that didn't work out well for me. So I decided I was in my early 30s, and I said, okay, this is the time if I just want to do my own thing. And this was the best time to do it. So I quit my job. I didn't have another job. I was financially stable. That helped. Decided to learn how to code because I've always loved technology. And I remember this was 2013, December, where I just locked myself for a month and I started coding a platform for myself, which was to help me trade better in the stock markets or invest better in the stock markets. And after developing the platform, I showed it to a few people, ended up raising seed funding, and this is cityfalcon.ai, which is the company that I run today. It's been an interesting journey, a lot of ups and downs. I remember 4 a.m. in the morning when the Brexit decision came in, I was really crying because the pound crashed 30%, which means that my monthly cost from paying £20,000 a month for salaries and everything else just went up to £25,000, £30,000 a month, which was insane. Then COVID happened, and the sales pipeline just disappeared. No one wanted to do anything. They thought it was 2007 again. And then the Ukraine war happened, which was the biggest hit for us. The guy who I started the company with, he's my CTO. He sent me a photo of he holding a machine gun. So he decided to fight for Ukraine. Thankfully, he's in the strategic intelligence unit for now, but he's been away from the business for 18 months. But anyway, all of these things have happened, but we are still alive. We're a team of 50 people in 3 countries. So So it's exciting.
Very cool. Very interesting backgrounds. All right, so this first question is, we'll keep it easy for now and get harder as the panel goes on. So just getting started in business. Yesterday we had an icebreaker session, and I met at least 4 people who said they're interested in entrepreneurship or are actively trying to grow a company or pre-seed stage. And I found it really, really interesting. And I actually, polled them, and they really said that there's a lot of obstacles they face, and there's so many resources on the web, on YouTube, Google, startup societies. But I want to keep this question quite simple and really just ask both of you: what is really your top tip? How do you overcome those obstacles of, hey, I want to become an entrepreneur? How do I even get started? What questions should I be asking, and what action should I be doing? Shernaz?
I think the first thing is to actually work for at least a couple of years in the field you're going to go on to, because that way you know how to run a business. And I tell you something, with my second company where the couple ran it, I found out what not to do in a business than what to do. And that's also a good lesson when you really learn what not to do. And I kept telling myself, when I have my own business, I'm going to I won't do this. And that helps. But I think learning on the job and then jumping ship and doing your own thing, I think it's better. I don't know what Ruzbeh thinks.
Yeah, an analogy that I can think of is, imagine you kind of staring down from a cliff. And at this point, you're worried. You can see all the reasons that you shouldn't be jumping. But with entrepreneurship, it's like you have to jump if you want to make it. And then on your way down, you have to build a parachute. If you fail, Sir Ron Khalifa talked about it, in business you get second life, third life, so it's not like you're dead. So you go back up again and then you jump again. And the reason I say this is that for a lot of us, especially in technology, is that when you start with an idea, it's not necessarily the idea that's successful. So in our case, we started building a B2C platform. In 2016, BNP Paribas, which is a French bank, came to us and said, hey, you guys are building this. This could be useful for our clients. Do you have an API? But we didn't. And today, 95% of our revenue comes from B2B. So just jump, figure things out. Just if you work hard, I think, as Sir Ron Khalifa said, your superpower, if you're really good at something, if it's art, if it's finance, if it's technology, whatever it is, jump and then you'll figure things out.
Very well said. This next question, let's talk about the word success. I've personally always struggled defining what success looks like. Is it, the amount of, zeros you have at the end of the bank account, or, how many customers you served in your business, how many happy customers returned, whatever sort of, KPI or metric, or maybe it's a behavioral thing that you define as success. And so what I kind of learned throughout my career is that there is no one definition of success. It really varies from person to person depending on your personality. And so does your perception of the word. So, Ruzbeh, let's start with you. What is your definition of success?
Yeah, so growing up in Bombay in a colony, success was, getting married, having a family, having a stable job, and you can understand that from, where your parents come from, having worked for one company for a long time. For me, success has been, and the definition has changed over time. So back when I was in my 20s, it was about making money, it was about becoming a CEO of a company. Now it's more about fulfillment and happiness. So so one of the things I like to watch on YouTube is what old people think about their lives. And if they look back at their lives and said, okay, what have you achieved? It's not how much money you've made. It's how happy you were doing things, how fulfilling your life was. And I think for me, it's being able to do things that I enjoy every day, having built a team, even if, the business fails, doesn't matter. So success is kind of taking a day at a time, and at the end of the day, just being happy with what you do.
Shernaz?
Well, I agree with Ruzbeh wholeheartedly. I've never felt really successful, but I think my success is Actually, the amount of people I know, the people who come to me for help, the mentorship. I mean, my staff have been with me, some of them, for over 20 years. And that, to me, is success. Because unless you treat people well, they won't stay with you. So, because there are a lot of people out there who would probably give them more money, but they don't want to move because they know that I treat them well with great respect, as Sir Ron said. And I think, to me, that's a success, where I have happy staff, and it's not all about money. It's actually, I feel more, when I find people jobs, I really feel fulfilled. That, to me, is a success. Because one old Parsi lady once asked me what I did, and I said I found people jobs, and she said, "Oh my God, you put food on the table. That's God's work." I mean, you know, I wouldn't go that far, but yes, that, to me, is success.
Very well said. All right. All right. This next question, let's talk about full-time corporate jobs versus the entrepreneurship life. Me, actually, believe it or not, it was the last LA Congress. There was a panel, it was a speaker and a panel that actually really motivated me, who was, I was working for, at the time, the largest oil and gas company at the time. Now I'm working for the largest technology company at the time. And in between, I actually wanted to do my own entrepreneurship journey as I got inspired and motivated from, a panel exactly like this at the last Congress. How did it work out? I miserably failed, and I accepted it. But it was a very, very rewarding experience for me. I learned what it feels like to bootstrap, self-fund and execute on a vision that you have in your head. And it was so fulfilling from that aspect. But clearly the entrepreneurship path, at the end of that journey of myself, I decided, you know what, it's not really for me. I like working for a large company, having these resources, and highly matrixed organizations, and that was my comfort zone. And so my question is how do you kind of compare and contrast the corporate, life versus an entrepreneurship journey?
I'll let Ruzbeh answer that first, because I've never been in what I would call corporate.
Sure. So let me start by saying that currently I'm staying in student accommodation in East London. So better to a full-time job you can afford. So for me, having worked in corporate life for 10 years, it's a paycheck at the end of the month. It's switching off on Friday evening, not have to make decisions at times. If you get stuck, just hand it over to someone else. So those are the benefits and perks of being in a corporate life, and then allows you to build a family, mortgage, all of that stuff. From an entrepreneurship perspective, for me, I talked about fulfillment. So I was working in jobs where I was doing finance, I did corporate strategy, but I wanted to do marketing. And there weren't many opportunities for me to do that. So it allows me to do, work in every function that I wanted to. So I think number one is fulfillment. Second is the steep learning curve that you get out of entrepreneurship by making so many decisions. You wouldn't switch off over the weekend. And that means that what you learn through that time could be worth, in corporate life, you could spend 3 times, 4 times, 5 times that time to learn. So I think that's really valuable. And what that means is, and what people don't appreciate is that even if your venture fails, when you look for your next job, people look at you very differently. I think it's more so in the US, but I think even in the UK. So you would be going in at a much higher level than compared to if you stayed in that job for a long time. And the third thing is the network. So once you're an entrepreneur, you get invited to things that you cannot think of. Like in London, for example, I get to meet events, go to events where I meet the CEOs of companies. I can sit down with Sir Ron Khalifa, who's been very helpful for the business. So many different benefits from there. So I think those are 3 things.
I think being an entrepreneur is that I make my own decisions. There isn't anyone else telling me what to do. And if I'm wrong, that's my problem. That's my mistake. And no one's going to say, I told you so, anything. I think that's what I like, the independence of being an entrepreneur. Of course, if I worked for Google, I'd probably earn much, much more. But that wasn't the thing. The thing was to be your own boss, to run it the way you want to. And you do get the benefits and the money, etc. That comes with it, but that isn't the first thing. For me, it's actually working for myself. And also to be a problem solver, because everyone brings their problems to you. You're the top, you're the leader. They will come and say, what can I do? And I think being a problem solver suits me. I love it. I love solving people's problems. I could be an agony aunt. I don't know, but that's the sort of thing I'd like to do.
Really good point. I want to quickly do a follow-up on something Ruzbeh said on a very, I guess, related topic on the concept of networking. And so yesterday we had an icebreaker session that was, I think, one of the best icebreaker sessions I've ever had in my life, and how you can bring a group of 400, 500 people together, maximize the diffusion, give a subject matter to actually converse about, and we're all part of the Zoroastrian community, so we all have something to relate to. And so my question is, in the business world, how do you kind of overcome the obstacle of networking? Especially there's a persona element. So the introverted folks in the room, where are you at? Woo, me? No. Wow. Okay, there was so many more introverts yesterday. Anyways, for the introverts out there, how do you kind of approach networking?
I think actually, especially in my field, which is recruitment, networking was an enormous thing to do, because through networks, when people met me, CEOs met me, they liked me. And they would then give me a job or say, oh, you can help us. And this happens to me all the time. Quite a lot of people here won't know, but very quickly I'll tell you, the City of London, which you will go to tomorrow, the Guildhall, I'm part of the livery movement. This happened 1,000 years ago, where the city had different people like the butchers, the bakers, they all had their little monopoly, and they made themselves into what is a livery company. I belong to the company of entrepreneurs. That has given me a great boost. I've met the most amazing CEOs, and I've got a lot of value from it, actually. Not only getting work from them, but also I can, in fact, lots of youngsters like you come to me and say, can you help me? And I know someone, even if I can't help them, who will help them. And I think networking is very, very important in all fields. And I would urge you to do it. And once you join something, I'm sure people will come to you and be friendly. Even if you're introverted, I'm sure you'll find something.
As an introverted guy, I struggle with networking, to be honest. But when I was starting my business, I didn't have much money. So ended up going to a lot of events in London where you get free pizza and beer. But it really didn't help much for me. For me, I think the strategy is usually LinkedIn. It's incredible. Reaching out to people are ready to help, making a lot of noise on social media. I mean, business related, that really helps. So that's usually my strategy.
I think me is just person to person, because I can relate to people and people relate to me. And I've really, got a huge network of people. It all depends, what you're like, really.
Very well said. And I'm really happy, because I think all of us here are going to have 500 more people in their network by, next week. So network. It's amazing. Alrighty. Let's move to this next question on a really hot topic, and one that's kind of close to my heart, which is about artificial intelligence. So, as you may know, I work for a company called Microsoft, working on a product called ChatGPT. And so, just out of curiosity, how many people have used ChatGPT? Okay. I was just curious. Just for my own learning. But anyhow, the concept of AI, just like Saran Khalifa was talking about, is rapidly evolving. It is a red hot space. There's conversations about, is it going to take my job? Is it going to, turn into a zombie apocalypse? I hear all sorts of crazy things. And so let's kind of talk about how AI is kind of today, kind of shaping your journey and your businesses today, and kind of what you kind of foresee the future of AI, and how it can either revolutionize your business for the good or the worse.
I really hate ChatGPT.
Boo.
when ChatGPT was launched and I used it for the first time, I didn't sleep for a few nights after that. What it meant for us as a business was that whatever we did over 8 years could have been now done in 2 years. When we talk to clients today, they're like, hey, why do I need to use your product? I can use ChatGPT. Thankfully, Microsoft and OpenAI still made it very expensive for businesses to use ChatGPT and others, but it's going to change, and it's quite scary, to be honest. So if I was a youngster like you guys, looking at your career, what you want to do, and had you spoken to me last year, my answer would have been completely different. I would have said data science, technology, all of those things. Now it's the complete opposite. Now you need to look for things where AI is not going to take it over. So I think if I do another business, I think it would be in recreation and sports. Or you could do, healthcare or something where AI doesn't come in. So it is really scary for us, and mainly because I don't have much trust in the government's understanding AI and regulating AI and thinking about the way forward. So I guess where we need to go to is kind of a universal basic income, because there won't be enough jobs. But what do you do with a country like India with 1.3 billion people? 1.4. Okay, so how are you gonna manage? So while I think I'm optimistic about the fact that our quality of life will improve significantly, it's still going to be challenging with the massive population that we have on this planet, with lack of jobs and civil unrest. And this is where I think the governments and others need to think very quickly about how to prevent or how to reduce the impact of AI that's going to be on humanity.
I think AI is actually taking over the recruitment industry anyway. You find all the big corporates are using it. And yes, I fear for, not myself, because I'm towards the end of my career, but certainly for the people coming on. It's going to be different. There'll be less people in our industry. It's a £6 billion industry in this country, but we won't be having the kind of people we do now. Most of the work will be done by AI. So yeah, I'm a little bit fearful for my, people who are coming up behind me, basically.
All right. So I don't want to leave the sentiment of fear in AI is taking over my jobs with the audience. So let's shed a little bit of light on the pros. How do you think the future of AI, which is the ability of generative AI today, can ultimately help people? I know the best example I've seen is a website or company called Khan Academy. And I'm sure anyone who took a math or physics class at some point in their life used this Khan Academy. And now you have pretty much a AI model that is your personal tutor. So instead of going and all these, tuitions or random websites, YouTube tutorials, you have a very personalized tutor for yourself. And academically, someone who's an engineer today but actually really struggled with some of my calculus classes, it really, really helped me when I just saw the art of the possible today, when there's a model that's trained on the entire World Wide Web, on billions of parameters. That to me is game-changing, where you can talk in natural language to someone and get an instant answer with, to some degree, a pretty high level of accuracy. So with that kind of one example of AI, showing promise or productivity, do you see any, future, pros or any emerging trends where you think this might be used for the better?
I think every new technology has its uses. So yes, I don't want anyone to think I was negative. You just asked me about my industry, and I'm just telling you. But basically, yeah, I think we will pivot. We're human beings. We'll pivot, and we'll use that AI technology. So yeah, I'm quite hopeful.
I know the crowd is a bit young, but did anyone watch Jetsons? Yes, I think very popular in India, right? I think that's where we're going towards, which is you go to work, you press a few buttons, you enjoy life, and you go back home. So definitely a lot of pros with that kind of life, as long as you're okay. So I think where it's been really valuable for us as a business is, as a team, a lot of repetitive tasks. A lot of tasks that we were using Google for, which is why I guess Google stock has fallen after ChatGPT's launch, is much easier to do with ChatGPT, or even anyone who is in tech can use APIs, which means you can you can program in a way that, if I want information on 100,000 companies, it can be done very quickly through OpenAI. There are a few challenges with this technology. So for instance, let's say, how many people have written a blog or created some content, right? And all of our content is freely being used without attribution, without anything by OpenAI, and I think there are some challenges there, which it kills creativity, originality that could otherwise have come out. So I may sound negative, sorry, but it just
You're good.
I am fearful. I think there are some good things. I mean, it's like having a calculator or spell check. Things are improving with that, but scary of the big picture.
Well said, well said. All right, so let's take a hard pivot. I think the last question for today. This panel is called Zoroastrians in Business. And so I was actually blessed with, in Zoroastrian Association of Houston, where's my Texas crowd at? Somewhere? Yes. Okay. So I was actually blessed with a really, really nice Sunday school community where once a month I would go to Sunday school when I was very, very young. Learn prayers, your Shem Vahu, the Mesha Spentas, Gatas, all that good stuff. And then as I grew older, towards high school, I would learn kind of more deep in the ancient, history of Zoroastrianism and our roots. And I was really inspired by that. And actually, I was blessed with a Sunday school, multiple Sunday school teachers to actually make connections in how our religious upbringing and deep heritage and culture and values, and how you could actually connect and infuse some of that into your personal and professional life. So my question is when you guys embarked on your business journey, I guess both personal and professional, how have your Zoroastrian values kind of influenced your behaviors and your choices?
I think that just the name that I chose was Verity, which in Latin means honesty, and that really was the ethos of my business. And I would say that was the strapline. There's a lot of hyperbole in recruitment where everyone is so wonderful. You ring up your client and say, oh, she's fabulous, she's wonderful. But most people are ordinary, they do a good job. And I think that's where I actually scored, because we were honest with the people we were sending, and it paid off. We've still got clients who have been with me for 30 years, and our respect for others, the good deeds we do. I run a very large temporary team, and lots of them came from Australia and New Zealand, and they didn't have anyone in this country. They came on their own to work and have a good time, go to Europe. And I was like a mother hen. I looked after them. When they needed medical help, we did it. And that was our Zoroastrian upbringing, where you help your fellow man and you help the people who work for you. Of course, the other thing is, if you look after people, they'll go to my clients and look after them. Because frankly, in the end, those people on the temporary side were the people who actually went to my clients, and they were Verity. It wasn't me sitting on the other end of the phone. So yeah, Zoroastrianism played a big part in my business.
For me, I mean, anyone did Boy Scouts or Girl Guides as kids? Yeah. Yeah, so I think I was part of Zoroastrian Boy Scouts in Bombay for about a decade, and I think that had a huge impact on my life. It became a way of life, and that has helped me a lot in business. To be honest, I've not always stuck to the values. There have been times where you had to move away from them, but what I really think about is, and just to give an example, like, if you do a business school course in negotiations, or it's not, you cannot always be honest, right? You're playing a game, and these are challenges that you face in business. But at the end of the day, you want to be honest with the people you care. You want to have a positive impact, net positive impact, I think, on the society. So I think those are there. For me, the values, really, one thing that I've learned a lot through my days growing up as a Zoroastrian with Boy Scouts and everything else was kind of hard work, and not going for a shortcut to success. So I think that's the key.
Very well said. So I think we're coming up on time here. Let's just do one kind of closing, final thought for everyone in the audience today, thinking about entrepreneurship or just in general, just professional growth, networking, pretty much everything we talked about today that are important aspects of the business world. One final thought to leave the audience.
I would say persistence pays. It really does. And I'll just give a very quick example. We do cold calling. I mean, that's what recruitment people do. And I kept calling this firm of solicitors for 5 whole years. And the receptionist said, oh, Shernaz, Mr. Southgate won't speak to you. He has his own agencies. One day, Mr. Southgate wasn't there. It was a Friday, and someone told the receptionist, I need a temporary now. So she rang me up. She said, quickly, send someone in. And I sent the most handsomest actor who could type at 90 words a minute. And all the girls in the office loved him. And on Monday, Mr. Southgate rings me up and says, who did you send? They were all saying Verity is the best. They send the best temps. And this is how, and now they are one of our biggest clients. They're a large firm of solicitors. So I tell you, never think that, when people say, oh, no, we have our own agencies. Carry on. I used to make people laugh, like saying, I'll be a Cinderella. You can call me. I'll be, there when they can't help you. And it does help. So persistence pays. That's my motto.
I know some people might not like it, especially parents, but don't stick to the typical jobs that we look for, chartered accountants, doctors, engineers. Do whatever you want to do, but strive to be the best at it.
All right, I think we're at time. Let's give it one more round of applause. Yes, so there was no audience Q&A today. It's the first session, so we're going to let everyone loosen up a little bit. But Shernaz and Ruzbeh and myself are going to be around for the remainder, maybe next few hours at least, if anyone has any questions. So.
Or find me on LinkedIn.
Or LinkedIn.
Yeah, same here, LinkedIn and Instagram.
All right, thank you.
Please thank our panelists. Thank you. Oh, just